Hi, Zara. It's so cool that we're here, and I'm really, really happy that we started this podcast. We started this podcast called BLOCKTALES, Unchained Stories. And maybe you can tell us a bit about why we are here and what we were thinking of starting a podcast. Another one.
Yes, thank you so much for your introduction or for your intro. So, from our point of view, so many podcasts focus on companies and what the companies are doing and what they are building and about the technology. And I think this is really, really important. But our thoughts are a little different because we really want to take care, we really want to talk about the people and about their private stories. So, why did they enter into blockchain? What's their story? What's their ups? What their downs? And I think we can learn a lot from their stories. And hopefully, we don't make the same mistakes and grow together and faster. So I think this was our idea. And yeah, let's start.
Yeah, so we had this idea just 2 weeks ago, right? And it was super funny because I just received a call on a Saturday afternoon while I was working from Prague, Czech Republic. And Sarah was calling me, and you just asked me, hey, what do you think about a podcast? And I was like, yeah, I was thinking about this too for some time now, but I never started. So then we started. And we thought about, let's start with one specific question every podcast, right? So here's the question, maybe you can answer it. How do you explain your current work, your current daily life to your grandma?
So I think this is an amazing question, and I think it's not that easy to answer. So there, like from my point of view, there are like two things. So the one thing is the blockchain technology, and the other side is that I'm currently working for VC, so venture capital. So I think the easier part is to explain how to work in venture capital. I mean, it's like helping early stage startups to build their dream, more or less, because at the beginning they don't have so much money, but they need to grow and they need a lot of technology, they need headcounts, they need marketing and so many things, but they don't have money. So this is why this is where venture capital comes in. So they exchange some equity, so they give us some shares, and for that we give them money. So this is the one part. And then we have the blockchain technology. And the blockchain technology is just, it kind of helps people to store and transfer information in a very secure way. And yeah, that's it. So it's different because it's online and it's secure. That's my explanation, which I might tell my grandmother. So what about yours?
Actually, I can't keep it from being technological. So when I talk to my grandma, I always tell her like, yeah, I'm working into the blockchain ecosystem, and it's about a database which is decentralized and where there are many copies of a database so people can't manipulate it. And mostly then I drift up and I stop because my grandma's face is just telling me she doesn't understand anymore. And when I'm talking about my daily life, I'm mostly telling her that like I try to help startups get to mass adoption, like get crypto to mass adoption, and to get people be less afraid of blockchain technology, because I think we have such a huge potential there. And all these startups out there that you help funding, they still need people who help them translate and to just spread the word about their message and their products. And that's what I do in my daily life. And I think that's quite a good explanation that my grandma can also understand.
Nice, really cool. So I think because we said it's block tales and it's about our personal stories, I think the first thing we should start with is to tell our own stories. So how did we get into blockchain, Web3, crypto, and do you want to start?
All right, yeah, I can do. Like, I started in early 2018, actually. Like, I was still in university back then, and I started to be an research assistant at university. And my first task was to create a blockchain lecture for students. So, a lecture series of 10 lectures. And therefore, obviously, I had to learn about it. I already read the white paper of Satoshi Nakamoto by then, and I was super interested, and that was the perfect opportunity for me to dive deeper while actually earning money with it.
I really like that because I just somebody told me in the past the best thing to learn something is to be forced to teach it to somebody else. Because then you really have to work in it and you really have to understand it. And I think that quote is really, really great. So if you have no clue about anything, you just have to force yourself to teach it somewhere. I like it.
Yes, agreed. And to some extent, that's also what startups should and have to do, because if you are building something, you are into this, and obviously you understand it super, super well. But like, think about, would your grandma understand what you're just saying? And if the answer is no, then probably the people you want to reach, the newbies, they will not understand at all. So people should stick to this mantra more or less. But yeah, from there on, then I got more into the startup ecosystem, and I helped other startups as a venture developer. And I realized, okay, everyone needs marketing, and the people are either not capable of doing it, don't have the time, or just don't want to do it in a proper way. So yeah, crypto needs marketing in that matter. And so I decided to start my own company. And now actually I'm a founder in Web3, which is still to some extent super exciting. And every day I learn something new, and learn something new about how to do a company and what to do as a company founder. And then I also entered the DLT Talents program 3 cohorts ago, and entered as a mentor. And since then, I'm having talks with amazing women who started or want to start in the blockchain ecosystem and who want to dive deeper. And it's just amazing. And I love to see how this ecosystem is growing. Also with all the other talents programs and all the other programs out there. So that's actually my story into ecosystem. What's about you?
That's so nice. I really like your story. And it's so cool that you founded your own startup. That's really amazing. So for me, it was a little different. I first read about Bitcoin in 2017, and I was so interested in it that I was like, okay, I really need to try to buy it. But back then, there was nobody to talk about. I was just lonely with my project. I was like, okay, I need to Google it. I need to try it. And it literally took me like 2 days to buy a really small piece of Bitcoin, because it was so difficult. And I can remember it was really hard. And then at the end of 2017, the whole market was rising. And by, I don't know, something like Christmas or New Year, everything was dropping and falling down. I was like, oh my God, okay. So I I didn't lose a lot of money, but it was more or less at the same level like before. So it was rising and then it was falling. And then I was like, okay, now I really have to start reading and understanding the topic a little more. In 2020, I started reading more, but I was still very lonely in that area. So there was nobody to talk about still. And then, and more or less exactly 1 year ago, I decided I really want to work in that space. And so I was working for BMW for already 9 years. And it was really like a safe place. I had an amazing job. I was in strategy and I was traveling a lot, and I really liked my job, but nevertheless, I was so curious about blockchain that I just decided, okay, I'm going to quit my job. And at that point of time, I didn't know where to work or what to do. I just quit my job and said, I'm going there full time. I have no clue how and when and with whom, but I just left BMW. And by chance, and this is so amazing because this sometimes happens in that space, I got to know the two founders from Venegan Ventures, and I started working for them. That's my story. And since then, yeah, it was like crazy because it was like 8 months ago, and I got to know so many great people. I grew an amazing network. I was on so many panels and discussions, and I had just an amazing time. And I don't regret anything at all. It's just the opposite. I really love being here, and it was one of my best decisions to go out of my comfort zone and to really start working in that area.
That sounds like a really exciting story. Like, I think you had to be really brave to start this. So for you, it was obviously super difficult to get there to buy a share of a Bitcoin, like some Satoshis back then in 2017. Do you think the ecosystem actually evolved and today it's more easy? Or do you think because it became like a buzzword and everyone knows about it, something, not necessarily the right things, but something, and people get more and more afraid, do you think it's maybe more difficult today because you today have to overcome all these FUD and all this fear that is created by media?
So I think there are two sides. So one side is getting information and getting to know people. And this is a lot easier than 2017. Because, for example, I also applied, by the way, for the DLT talents, and the first time I was rejected. I don't know. I mean, they have so many people who want to be part of the program. So I think it's really hard. And so this was for me the first potential group or network where I wanted to be part, but I wasn't able to join the first try. So second try was a lot better. And now I'm already mentor in the program. So this is what I mean. If you want to read something or if you want to become part of a network, it's so easy. You don't have only, you have all the talent programs, you have unit masters. You can, if you just Google it, there's thousands of possibilities to read and gain knowledge. So this is the one side, and this is a lot easier than, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. But on the other hand, of course, we have like, we are in a bull market or crypto winter. I don't know whether it's the right word. But from my point of view, many people joined the space to get rich fast. I don't know, maybe it's wrong, maybe it's not many people, but at least some people joined that space. And at least those people who only want to be there to earn money, to get rich fast, they are not in the space anymore now, because I think they already left. And so now in that space, there are so many people who really believe in Web3, who really believe in the technology and who really want to grow and build. And so it really depends on your personality and on your characters and what you want to do in your life. And if you have a clear answer on that, I think it's very clear whether you want to go in the space or whether you don't want to go. And yeah, these are my thoughts. So do you think it's easier or do you think it's harder? What's your opinion on that?
I think it's kind of difficult because today you just hear so many news that are like bad, like Sam Bankman-Fried kind of news, which make you think like, oh, this is an ecosystem where I maybe don't want to get in. So you really have to believe in it to get started, to want to know more about it. And also, I think user experience wise, we are still in the beginning. We can improve much better than we are now. So I think there's a long way to go. And I think it's really important to find something in this technology that you believe in. For me, for example, this is decentralization. I think it's good to have systems who are not dependent on a third party. And if you have such an anchor and something that really interests you, then you get there and you will start researching and thinking about it and thinking things through and exploring and trying new things. But if you don't have this, I think it's still super difficult. So, for example, what has been the thing that catched you? So why did you start researching it?
So I think in the first moment it was because I was always interested in financial products. So I always tried to read about houses. I always tried to find out about the stock market. And so of course there was something new in the financial area, and I was really curious about getting to know that. But why I really dig deeper is like there are like two main important things, and one of them you already mentioned is decentralization. So I think it's so important. Blockchain is a network where you can do transactions peer to peer. So there's no middleman needed, nobody in between, nobody who can judge anything. And I think this is so important to understand. So from my point of view, one of the most important things is that it's objective. So everybody has the same rights and the decision is always the same. And it doesn't matter who is behind that, because everything is regulated by, or many things are regulated by smart contracts, and smart contracts don't differ between the people behind that. So it's a very objective decision. And this is something I really like. And I think it's really, really important to deepen that technology and to use it more and more.
It's super nice to hear that someone else was also in there for the decentralization part.
Why? So because we just talked about all the negative things and that it's sometimes really hard to get into the space. So what are your thoughts? Why are you still bullish on the space? Or why do you believe in the space? I mean, besides all those negative things just coming up, especially in 2020.
Because of the people, actually. I think there are people in this ecosystem who wanted to get somewhere new, who wanted to get somewhere where they can build, where they can make their ideas become true. And I think all the people in the ecosystem now are really passionate about it. They want to achieve something. And I think this is a super vibrant, like, ecosystem which you can't find in the same way anywhere else. And also, like I once mentioned in an article I wrote, I think that Web3 offers somehow kind of a refugee to people who didn't fit into other ecosystems or who didn't fit into big corporate environments that just made them follow rules instead of made them being creative. And I think Web3 is a lot about finding better solutions and being creative instead of following old rules and not changing because we have always done this like that, you know?
And I think this is one or another important point. You really have to be open-minded, and you really have to be hands-on. You really have to start. You really have to work. You really have to do the work. Nobody is coming to help you. You really have to do it on your own. Especially if you start like any kind of research, there is no nice overview, and then you can click through 10 links, and afterwards you know everything. You really have to do the work on your own. And I think this prevents many people still from starting. So what was your like biggest learning from getting into blockchain? Like what are your thoughts if you would tell somebody to, if he or she wants to start, what would you recommend?
Basically, what you just said, do your own research. And also, don't try if you are not up for the responsibility. Because in Web3, within the blockchain technology, you are the responsible person. And yes, there are some exchanges, centralized exchanges and centralized institutions who start creating solutions that take some of the responsibility from you, but still you are responsible. You're responsible to do your research. You're responsible for every investment or every new product that you create. So basically the saying, not your keys, not your coins, that's perfectly summing it up, because holding your own keys means holding the responsibility. And people in Web3 or who wants to get started in Web3 has to be aware of this, and they have to be up to take responsibility.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And especially for me, coming from a corporate environment, where I had like many possibilities, I got a great salary, I had nice colleagues. It was really hard to take that responsibility, go out. And like the first days had been for me like, okay, what the hell am I doing now? Because there was no structure anymore. Nobody told me like you have to go to those meetings, you have to do those presentations or something like this. It was just like, okay, I woke up in the morning, I was fully responsible for what I'm doing the whole day. And like, I don't know, the first 3 or 4 weeks really felt strange. But I got to used to it really fast, and I'm enjoying it so much.
Me too, absolutely. But I think there's a lot of people who like this structure of others giving them the tasks, there is like the whole structure for the day and everything. So I don't think that Web3 by now is something that suits everyone.
Absolutely, totally agree, 100%. And there's no need that everybody is changing to Web3 now. I mean, of course not. But people really have to, I think this is important that people really think why they want to be part of Web3, and then they can make their decision. but they have to think through it.
Yes, and I think like you starting in 2017, me starting in 2018, we are kind of the old people here already. Of course, there are people who started way, way earlier, like in 2014, 2012 and stuff. But still, we are not the youngest ones in the ecosystem in terms of how long we've been in here. And I think there's so many interesting people there and so many interesting stories also, like how people got into there. We have totally different backgrounds and we ended up together here. So there are yes, there are so many other different point of views on everything, and probably also contradictory opinions. And I'm really looking forward to get them here into a podcast and to hear from them what's their stories and what they think Web3 is about. And actually, that's why we met here today, right? And why we wanted to do this BLOCKTALES podcast about all the unchained stories of our Web3.
Yes, that's so nice. But I have one more question for you. So we are both women, and well, do you have any thoughts on being women in Web3? I mean, if you compare it Web2, Web3, classical industry, Web3, and do you see anything you really would like to mention being a woman?
Well, I have also been a women in engineering, which also was not, let's say, the majority of people there, because I'm actually an industrial engineer. Yes. So I think it's not that much different between Web 2 and Web 3 for women. The difference is that in Web 3, people are not that defined in their opinions yet. Like they are more open to try new things, and therefore also there's less old and static structures. And this is a good thing for us as women, because this is where we can where we can bloom and where we can grow, which might not be the case in the old industries, because we just might get less chances there.
Absolutely agree. And I think, yeah, for me, the most important thing is that I do have the feeling that it just doesn't matter. And this is really amazing because in the past I thought it matters because I was a woman and there was like certain things that worked for me and others had been quite hard. And in Web3, I just have the feeling it doesn't matter at all. And this is nobody questions me being in a certain role. And this is so amazing and so important. And one more thing, there are like so many initiatives at the moment, especially for women, to bring women into that space. So I think you just have to Google it and then to start. Because especially for women, people try to push them into the space because they knew that it's important to have, I mean, not an equal level, because I think it's hard to get an equal level. I think at the moment it's only like 5%. But nevertheless, it's easy to start. And there's a certain frame where you can start. And I think this is, you really have to do it. That's the only thing. Go for it.
Yes, go for it, totally. And also, let's just maybe also say this. As we are women, we want to hear from women for this podcast, and we want to also have a female point of view here. But, and that's more really important to me, we on the same page don't want to exclude men, right? Because what are we better than the old industries if we exclude men? So we will have male guests here.
For sure, and I'm really looking forward to them. We just want to open up the space for women as well, because we really want we really, our focus is to search amazing women and to understand what they are doing and how they are thinking about everything. But of course, we will also have male guests, and we're really looking forward to that. And I think we decided to have two more questions at the end to kind of ask our guests. And I think I will start with you. So the first question is, what topic would you like to know more about, and why don't you know more about it already? So not yet.
I think the Bitcoin Lightning Network is something that I would like to investigate more, and also AI, and maybe the opportunity of combining AI services with Bitcoin Lightning. I'm not sure yet how this is possible, but it would be a super cool thing if I could, for example, use an AI on Bitcoin Lightning. Why didn't I do it yet? Actually, because I just didn't find a focused, calm day where I can put myself 100% into researching.
Yeah, I think it's
So,
time is one of the biggest challenges.
yes, time is your enemy if you want to research something in deep dive.
Absolutely.
So, maybe you can get the second question, which would be to tell us your favorite crypto story within 30 seconds. So, end the phrase of once upon a time.
So, to be honest, I was thinking about something I already said before. So, once upon a time, there have been many people who want to get rich fast. And they all entered the crypto space, but they didn't have a lot of knowledge, but they just decided to buy some coins. And now many of them are really disappointed because it didn't work out, at least if they didn't sell approximately 1 year ago. And so my fairy tale is that I'm really happy that in that space there are mainly those people left who really believe in the technology and are really open-minded. They are interested. They want to build, and I'm really happy that we have that community. And from my point of view, I met so many great people, and I'm so happy and so thankful for those people now having them in my life. That, yeah, this is my fairy tale or my block tale.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. So, to our audience, I hope you enjoyed your first block tale, and I think we hope both that we will see you again next week for the next block tale.
Block, block, block tale.